We'll go ahead and call the Ellis County Commission meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Donna, please note that all three commissioners are present. Any changes to the order of business this evening? Phil, Marcy, Barb? Seeing none, we'll move on. Prior minutes, we have June 11th of 2018 and June 18th of 2018. We do not have the special budget meeting minutes. Any changes, corrections?
I think they are okay.
I know Donna had a few corrections.
Yeah.
Yes, all
She
approved. They will stand approved as presented. As for a motion for the consent agenda, items A through F.
Move we approve the consent agenda as
Items A
presented.
through G, I'm sorry.
As presented, items A through G.
And I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second, Donna. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Move on to issues from persons not on the order of business this evening. Do we have anyone present? Have a nice crowd. That's great to see. Guessing you're all here for one reason, how much money you're going to give back to the county, Judge Brown, right? Maybe. We'll move on to drug court. The Honorable Glenn Brown, please come up. And your assistant.
Not my assistant, the to-be drug court coordinator.
Should be drug court coordinator. So she's really eager to hand out that.
Which means she will be sort of my boss when we get started.
It's about time.
He's not very nice,
But
is he?
what Teresa handed out to you is a PowerPoint that we intended to use this evening, but it's not very long and probably easier to have a paper copy, which kind of sets out some of the highlights. First of all, I want to thank the Commission for having us here this evening, sort of to expand a little bit upon what we talked about at the budgetary meeting. We know that you have a lot of important issues to deal with. We don't want to take a lot of your time, but we did want to at least give you some more detail about drug court and an opportunity to ask any questions you might have. Most important thing to remember about drug court is how it got started. This is a collaborative effort. It was initiated by Sheriff Ed Harvin, Chief of Police Don Scheibler, the County Attorney's Office, Court Services, Community Corrections was a catalyst, as well as the judges. So, and this is not something that just happened overnight. We've been discussing this for several years. We delayed implementation or going forward because of the courthouse remodeling project and the fact it would not have been practical while we were out at the NEW building. But now that we've settled in and to our back in our courthouse, the opportunity now presents itself, and we want to take advantage of it. Teresa's going to give you some of the detail about drug court, and then hopefully you'll have a few questions, and I'll be chiming in as we go along. So Teresa, this is Teresa Greenwood. She's a court services officer and will be the coordinator of our drug court.
All right, thank you all for letting us speak with you tonight. I want to point out that we have several drug team members here. We have the concept of drug courts is a team aspect, and I'll explain that a little more in depth, but we have a large amount of our team here. The concept itself was started in 1989, created in 1989 in Florida, basically as an alternative to incarcerating people that are struggling with addiction. The goal is to combat the addiction itself and have that alternative to jail. Nationwide, there are more than 3,000 drug courts, and they're seeing some very good results, have for quite a few years now, where you, instead of incarcerating people that are struggling with addiction, working with them, working with the treatment aspect of it. The goal is to help them not only overcome their addiction, but to maintain their sobriety and not be a drain on the community resources. In Ellis County, our drug court's going to have 5 phases, and the client, the participant, has the potential to be in the drug court for 18 months or longer. It's intensive. They have supervision from their probation officer, random urinalysis testing multiple times a week, intensive substance use treatment. And we also assist them with just basic, basic life skills like creating a resume, helping them find employment as they move on through the phases. And our court's going to start out meeting every other week, and it's for higher risk, higher needs offenders. And during drug court, those participants speak directly to the judge, talk about their challenges, what they have accomplished in the past couple weeks, how their treatment is going. And response is, we celebrate successes. If they have a setback, then we discuss, judge will discuss directly with them if they need additional treatment or what their needs are. It isn't an automatic just go to jail if they violate. And when a participant does have a good achievement, like say they move on from another phase, or if they have, X number of days where they haven't used any substances, then we reward that. A lot of times the participants have maybe never had anyone that supported them, that rewarded their good behavior. We will reward that behavior with small incentives like a small gift card. Once they get to where they graduate from the drug court program, we will have a graduation ceremony. They'll get a certificate, they'll have a photo with the judge, and they are celebrated for their achievements.
Teresa, is Judge Brown going to be the only one that'll see these?
Well, they'll be on supervision as they have been in the past with, for instance, generally community corrections. But what a drug court really does is this. Currently, they're on probation, they accumulate violations, and they build up over a period of time. By the time I see them in court, they have quite a lengthy list, and my options are this: send them to prison or put them in jail, and I'm very limited in what I can do with them. The idea behind drug court is they have that positive UA, I'm going to see them within a week. If they miss a drug treatment, I'm going to see them within a week, and we're going to have a discussion about it. Their probation officer is going to participate. All of the drug team members will be at court when they're there, and we'll talk about it as a team, and we'll have an immediate response rather than a delayed response, which usually is the end of the road, and then they're off to prison, which, everybody likes to talk about that. Let's send them all to prison. It's $24,500 a year to put somebody with a drug problem behind bars that's going to walk out of that prison with the exact same drug problem they went in with. So this is going to be more immediate. As I was looking around, I remembered that we spoke to the county administrator, and Philip has a lot of experience with specialty courts from his prior employment, and I know that spoke very positively of it. So we hope to achieve the same thing here. There are no drug courts in Northwest Kansas or even in Western Kansas, but there are in Kansas. A similar one is in Lyon County, Emporia. We have visited that drug court. They've had it for many years. Their success rate has been high. They're big proponents of. We visited the Salina drug court, and Judge Johnson, who's on a committee with me, and he and I have spoken on several occasions about their success rate. So there's a track record that we can build on in hopes of achieving some of the same results here. Sorry, Teresa.
Nope, you're fine.
Closer to the mic.
Yep. Right.
You stepped back away from the mic just as you started talking. That was pretty
I will
funny.
stay
Sure,
forward.
we'll go forward, and then you take a step back.
Yep, I'll make sure I step forward. Basically, the current practice of incarcerating addicts isn't working. Statistics have shown that treatment courts are much more successful in beating the base cause, which is the addiction in a lot of offenders. That it's just a more successful approach. Nationally, some statistics show that courts save up to $13,000 for every individual they serve in the drug court system, and as much as $27 for every dollar invested in drug courts can be saved. And it participants.
Repeat that last part, so I write it down. The dollar figure?
Yeah,
that
the
you-
dollar figure, $13,000 can be saved for every individual that they serve, and as much as $27 for every dollar invested in drug courts can be saved. And that is in the handout there too. And education is improved, employment is improved. It reduces foster care placements. These are all statistics from the National Association of Drug Courts, that it shows that there is success. The average national completion rate for treatment courts for participants is 60%, which that actually is a very good number. That is more than twice the rate of success of people on probation with substance use disorders when they have just probation alone. And 75% of treatment court graduates do not reoffend. And that's national statistics. So that is a good motivation there for us. Ellis County specifically, looking at the felony drug cases by year, according to the Kansas Sentencing Commission, in 2013, Ellis County had 91 convictions for felony drugs, and by 2017, Ellis County had 159. That is a 42.7% increase in just those 5 years in felony drug convictions.
You know, I use a line during criminal motion day, which we had today. I've used it talking about our courthouse remodeling project, and I tell the defendants when they're seated there, you all know from being in the courtroom then the second floor, there's a large metal and glass door that separates the courtroom from the secure hallway. That's where they bring the prisoners. And I tell the prisoners, I said, you know, this courthouse remodeling was a wonderful project. We saved a beautiful building. It's working really well, except we made one mistake in the design. They all look at me and I said, you know what that mistake was? No, I said, see that big steel door behind you? They said, yeah. I said, we should have made it a revolving door. But I keep seeing the same people coming in and out over and over again.
Wow.
And it's to make an impression, and that's the kind of cycle we want to break and hope to break by implementing a drug court.
Drug courts use a team approach, and ours will be no different. We're going to follow the national model. Our team will be Judge Brown, the drug court coordinator, which is myself. There's a prosecutor, defense attorney, treatment provider, law enforcement, and evaluator who will look at our statistics and our success rate, and also the probation officers. And that team will meet every other week before court to discuss the participants and what needs addressed in the drug court. So that it is a team approach to both court and also treating the addiction. Our team was trained by the National Drug Court Institute in April of this year at no cost. We applied for and were granted that training, and they sent a team of experts to us for 3 days of training. And we also have ongoing support from the National Drug Court Institute to help us get our drug court up and running. Judge Brown and I also attended the National Association of Drug Court Professionals Conference in Houston, and that was in May.
With 6,000 of our closest friends.
Yes. And it was an intense 3 days, tons of seminars we went to on not only starting up a drug court, but managing a drug court and the participants, and it was very informative. Our team has also traveled, like we mentioned earlier, to both Emporia and Salina to observe their drug courts. What we're asking for startup for our Ellis County Drug Court is $30,000. The breakdown of that is in the handout there as well. $15,000 of that would be for the drug court defense attorney, which was part of the team. And office supplies are in here at $2,500. We provide the participants with a handbook, with a calendar where they can keep track of their treatment sessions and what other appointments they have. Transportation assistance to get to and from work, to and from court. Incentives is big for drug courts. Even a $10 gift card or a $10 gas voucher can go far to be motivation to and reward for being successful in drug court. So some incentives there, possible housing assistance in emergency situations, and child care assistance so the participants can attend drug court. We anticipate that this being a one-time ask, There is federal dollars available for existing drug courts. The issue we ran into is we're not up and running yet, but we will be. Also, some of those federal grants require a match. So that is why we're here asking for this $30,000 for not only the match for future grants, but to get us up and running and established so we can apply for those grants. There is actually $95 million in federal grant money available to drug courts in the United States. So we're hoping to, we're already looking into those and exploring those options for the future.
And we know you've heard that before. This will be the only time we come to you and you see the same people year after year.
It's kind of like a revolving
Revolving
door.
That's exactly right. But I can assure you that that's not our intent or goal, and we have no expectation that we'll be back. We think we will qualify for many of the federal grants that are available, and as some of the other Kansas courts have. And so this will be just our seed money to get started, and I don't expect that we will be back. If I'm wrong, I'm sure commissioners will remind me about the revolving door story. So.
Our future plans for our court is just to possibly meet every week instead of every other week as we have more and more participants. Of course, secure grant funding. We would like to add a part-time, like a case manager position to work with the participants for those basic skills like resume building, employment seeking, to have even one more step of assistance for our participants. We want to partner with public agencies, other drug courts, just to have what our work is doing for the community out there, to have community support. And we also, this would be down the road as we have graduates of our drug court, we want to create like an alumni organization where graduates can possibly mentor current participants and just keep that ongoing support for recovery going. So that's all I have.
Any questions?
I think you both have done a lot of homework before you came, and it's obvious you went to Houston for 3 days, and thank you, Teresa, also for.
The session started at between 7 and 7:30 in the morning, and one night our last one didn't end until 6:30 in the evening. So it was quite a remarkable conference. Lots and lots of information, and hopefully we can implement some of it in our drug court when we get up and running. Our expectations will probably start in August. We were hoping to start this month, but we've got 2 criminal motion days. I had mine today. Judge Biddle has his here in 2 weeks, and we have lots of candidates from those court hearings, and we thought it would be better to get them all started at the same time. So we're looking at an August start date.
So how many do you expect to handle right away, or do you have any idea? Just what's your projection?
We don't know. The Community Corrections Office department is currently looking at some of the present probationers we have that may be referred over to drug court. But I think we're going to be looking at 20 to 30 to start. And the numbers, Lyon County runs about 50 to 55 in their drug court. I think Saline County was in the 70s.
They were in the 60s, 70s.
60s to 70s. So we'll probably be closer to Lyon County. It's a similar size community.
Sounds like you have done a great job with it so far, and a lot of thought and planning, and a good packet you put together, Teresa.
I think your selling point is saving $27 for every dollar spent. And I know that having been on the corrections board, keeping them out of jail is quite a feat. So I hope, I think this is worth the investment, and finding another place to nudge $30,000 out of to make sure that this gets tried, because as I said before, we're not trying anything different. Nothing's changing. So this is a step forward and a great start for the future, I think. So I wish you more than all the best. I hope you are wildly successful, and that you just need more people to help. So thank you.
We hope so too. Thank you.
See anything?
No.
Bill?
So how are you funding the first 4 months this year? Could we maybe split it up, like if I were to find 10 this year, could I give you 20 next year? We're looking for.
Actually would work better.
Oh.
And
Even better, there you go.
That would, what we're doing right now is we're printing the books, for instance. Local vendor has agreed to do it on credit. Promise that we'll pay in the future. But yeah, actually that would be a better.
I can guess who that is.
We found we have money, I think, and we've worked something out with the defense attorney. So we've got some things in place to get started for the last quarter of this year. But yeah, actually that would work better financing.
Well done,
Okay.
well done.
Thank you,
Good.
Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Teresa?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it also is not considered bad manners to all get up and go if you don't want to sit and listen to the rest of our
We
chat.
appreciate
So,
them all being here.
yes,
They've invested
thank you
a lot
all
of
for
time.
being here. I appreciate that. It shows the backing you have as well. So thank you, Teresa, for taking this on, and let us know if you need a stick to beat anybody down that is giving you a hard time, because there are a few people that might need it. You never know.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Whenever Susan would like to come up, we'll do our extension report.
I think it's going to be Donna.
Or Donna.
We're done. 2 for 1.
Okay.
And we got a
Yeah,
twofer
yeah,
today. Yeah,
actually.
that's
Well,
pretty
I try
good.
to come up every few months, and so Susan thought we could split. I'll be brief, but thank you, Phil and commissioners, for your time, for me to just bring you a little update. Do you know it's been just right at a year since the Cottonwood Extension District formed?
Has it been a year already now?
Has, yes, July 1. We became official, and our organizational meeting, I think, was July 10th of last year. We have 8 board members who have been very committed to making things work, and 4 of them are from Ellis County, and 4 are from Barton County. We meet monthly. Nathan Leiker is our board chair, and a few months ago, Nathan said, you know, I think we need to get a little more efficient in our meetings, and so he appointed a personnel and a budget committee. So those 2 committees have helped because it's a little easier for me to meet with 4 individuals than to get 8 schedules to fit with all of the
Sure.
staff. So that's working well. As you know, with Linda Beach's retirement in the area of family and consumer science, I know some of you were at her party right here in this room. But our personnel committee has been meeting, and right now there is not an announcement from KSRE on that specific position, but there's definitely interest in making sure we move forward in that area. In the meantime, because I am director, but I also am a family and consumer science agent, I will be meeting after the fair with our Program Development Committee members from Ellis and Barton counties. And they're going to just give me some feedback and ideas of how we can kind of take care of the needs during the interim before we have a new person in place. Hopefully the next time I'm here to visit with you, I'll be introducing a new agent. That will be my hope for sure. The Budget Committee is meeting in just about 10 days to finalize a budget. And I know in visiting with Phil, this is so interesting. Your administrator is Phil and our administrator is Phil. So you're very consistent, though. Both Barton and Ellis County administrators have asked outside agencies to, as much as possible, hold the mill as even as we can. And we've come up, I believe, with a budget that will be just very even with what we had last year. And so I look forward to presenting that to the public through a public hearing. We are alternating that, so that site will actually be in Great Bend this year on August 13th. We'll go through the right, Donna Maskus over here keeps me on track, and we'll make sure we get that in the paper and published. But again, that is coming up in August. One exciting thing that we are in the process of doing, and that is to put a new phone system in. And don't think we're being extravagant, because I think the Ellis County phones are well over 20 to 25 years old. We asked about using those phones moving forward, and the guy said, you know, we can't get parts for those anymore. So it's time. So our phone
That does
system,
cause you to have some problems.
yeah. Our phone system is going to be replaced in Barton County yet this week, and then we're kind of coordinating with Susan and the rest of the staff as you work on the 601 main renovation to get that phone system. The neat thing that I'm excited about, if Marcy, if you decided you wanted to talk to me, you can call the Ellis office and they'll be able to transfer that call. So it will be very nice to have that quick response. As it is now, sometimes I'll get an email from Teresa with 3 calls that came in, and so this will be a much more efficient, I think. So. We just want to keep encouraging you to, I think you receive our board or our monthly, what we call accomplishment reports. So you kind of know what agents are doing, but we have excellent agents who are very professional and do a great job for us. And if you aren't familiar with us in both counties, go to our website and you can, we're getting those things meshed together. And then we do put out a quarterly newsletter, and that is getting ready to come out on July 5th. We just had a staff meeting at the Ellis County office, and Teresa is working on that. So again, just welcome your comments or your questions. If you have anything I need to take back to staff or to administration, just let me know. So, and then the second half of the report is from our 4-H and youth agent here in the Ellis County office.
Donna, thanks for being
Yep.
here. We
Yep,
appreciate
thank you for
that.
being here.
Sure. How many more miles have you all put on vehicles going to and from?
A few.
Just a few, huh?
A few. Susan Schlichting, Cottonwood Extension District 4-H Youth Development, and I'm here to share our quarterly update of 4-H happenings. And of course, things have been pretty high energy this last few months. I think the last time I was here, I had announced that we had received the grant through Monsanto for the Monarchs on the Move program, and had trained 22 teens in the 2 counties to go out to schools and after-school programs and 4-H clubs to teach kids about the monarch butterfly, the life cycle, the fascinating things that a monarch does in their lives and how they live, what they eat, all of those kinds of things. And we have been in lots and lots of places. As you can see, we've reached over 1,000 contacts, and that's just the kids that were age appropriate to give surveys to. We've worked with adults and we've worked with kids as well. So I would guess that number probably pushes closer to 1,300 or 1,400 in the last 3 months. So it has been quite a time. It has been a really a neat opportunity to watch our teens grow in their leadership and their confidence, their ability to coordinate, to reach out to other entities, and to put programs together, to team together, to put those things on. And that, to me, is one of the really, really fantastic benefits of this process and this project that we've had, is to help our teens grow. And our teen group is 7th graders through juniors in high school. So a fairly young group of teens that will just take this and go on to other things that will be neat opportunities as well for our community and for our 4-H program. We also worked with the rocketry program that we do every year. That's a tremendous chance to get kids excited about science and math and looking at careers in aerospace and technology fields. And we were able to go to Victoria, Ellis, and Hayes this year as part of those after-school programs or early summer day camps. Those programs are typically are presented by teenagers, and they're leading them, they're carrying it out. You can see some pictures of some of them involved with that. At the bottom of the page, we have a couple of opportunities that our teens, the Monarchs and the Move team, and the robotics and technology teens that we've worked with presented at Discovery Days, which is a peer conference held in Manhattan for the first week in June. And they were able to go and teach their peers and help them to maybe take some ideas back to their own county programs. So you can see pictures there of both the teams that taught it at Discovery Days. While we were at Discovery Days, we had the opportunity to honor Jacob Schmeidler. He has been working since he was about a fifth grader as a teen leader with the robotics, rocketry, space tech area, and he made it to the top of the pinnacle this year. He was awarded the top award in Kansas 4-H for space tech work.
Excellent.
So that was pretty exciting for us. It's been a few years, and he's done a lot of work, well deserving. So he was honored at the Emerald
Very
Circle.
nice young man to boot, so.
Yes, he was honored at the Emerald Circle banquet. So that's a fancy, special evening for those kids that are honorees of scholarships and of their project work.
Excellent.
We've been to camp as well, and there's some pictures there about our camping experience. And of course, upcoming is the Ellis County Fair, and we have a little chain with links on it in our office, and I think it's down to 10 links. And so a week from Wednesday, we'll be doing cleanup night at the fairgrounds, and from there, kind of full speed ahead. Encourage you to come out and join us for fashion review on Thursday evening, the dog show, the horse shows, the livestock shows, all of the activities, and of course the food challenge that happens on Thursday is always an exciting time. If people in the community want to come out and enter exhibits, we have a deadline of July 9 to enter those online in the computers. So if you've got something, Phil, that you want to bring and enter at the fair, July 9 is the day you've got to get it into the computer system. So we can help you with that if you need some help getting things registered. But everybody, open class and 4-H, needs to be pre-entered. So you can walk in, you get handed a tag, and things get taken to the judging areas. Really helps to expedite that process. So we hope to see you all at the Ellis County Fair here just in a little while. And if there are any questions.
Looks like you've been busy as usual.
It's been a very high energy couple of months.
That's good.
Very good.
We're really looking forward to the fair.
It's always great. Always going to be warm,
And
too.
I was going to say, and I just want you to know, I'm praying that it stays like high 80s.
That would be
High
perfect.
90s would be great. When it's so hot, I just feel so sorry for those kids, and
It takes its
everyone
toll on
looks a little
everyone and
wilted,
everything.
yeah. And those animals too. They're frantically trying to cool them off. So let's hope that it's just a little bit cooler and maybe a little bit of a breeze. So
That would be nice.
yeah.
So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Susan.
Thanks for coming.
Next item is why the crowd didn't leave, so we'll go ahead and discuss the 2019 budget. County Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, County Administrator Philip Smith Haynes. I don't really have a report on this item for this evening. This is a continuation of your commission's discussion from last Thursday at your budget meeting. I have sent each of the commissioners a spreadsheet and have printed a copy for you at the dais of both the operating and Fund 16, our capital equipment budgets. As I was explaining to someone, I said, really what this is like, the operating budget is sort of our checking account, and the capital budgets are kind of our savings account. And one of the expenses we have in the operating budget is a transfer to our savings account, but if we don't make that, we don't get to do the things to the house or go on vacation or whatever we would normally spend those savings for. So be happy to answer any questions and look forward to the Commission's input and direction.
We left our meeting the other day. We was at what, 230?
285, or
285.
well,
282, 492.
yes. And then when I did the spreadsheet that trued up all the numbers, we got to 285, 785. So that was the number from Friday.
Did anybody win the lottery over the weekend that you want to share first?
Don't see any hands going up.
That is a good thing.
I would say that was probably a no siree, Bob, on your part. Okay.
I'm thinking Chris must have bought a ticket, though he's smiling and not speaking, so.
Yeah.
He must have bought a ticket. He may have won. He's just holding out. Bill, would you mind going through the Fund 16 handout, department by department?
Not at all. So Fund 16, again, is the capital equipment fund that your commission basically banks money into each year for future equipment replacements. And so what you see before you is a forecast of the next 5 years of expenditures, as well as what actually happened last year and then what's planned to occur during 2018. Fund 16 is a non-budgeted fund, so you're not actually adopting a budget for it. But as I said, one of the things that you typically do is transfer funds from the budgeted operating fund into Fund 16. You also, by policy, allow departments to transfer half of any unspent budgetary authority at the end of each year. And so you'll see in many of the departments there's a transfer in 2017. That was that amount of savings. So Fund 16 is really an undifferentiated whole, but for convenience and planning purposes, we do assign buckets of money for each of our operating departments. So that's how this spreadsheet is broken down. You'll see the first department is the administration department, and there is currently, as of the beginning of this year, $27,395.24 assigned to the administrator's portion of Fund 16. The only planned expenditure out of that pot of money over the next 5 years would be potential replacement of a pool vehicle. As I shared with the chairman earlier today, it would not break my heart if we couldn't replace that vehicle. It's kind of more trouble than it's worth some days. Next, you'll see the appraiser. The appraiser's office currently has $278,255.65. They do have expenditures planned in 3 of the next 5 years, leaving a balance at the end of a 5-year period of about $60,000. Then you have the county attorney. The county attorney basically sort of gave all of his money to IT, but then was able to transfer in savings, and so he's back up to $15,806.94. Does not have a planned expenditure in the next 5 years, but will need to do a copier replacement at some point in the future. Then you have buildings and grounds. Again, this is the equipment fund, so this is distinct from buildings and grounds building capital needs. This is their equipment capital needs. Current balance of $179,864.64. They have quite a few equipment needs over the next 5 years. The biggest, currently slated for the year 2022, is a replacement of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system in this building. If you've spent much time here, you know that it's invariably a weird temperature. Either it's freezing cold, or it's very humid, or there are noises. So that definitely needs replacement at some point. That's an estimated $500,000 expenditure, which would drive their balance into the negative. Next, you have the commission. Your commission has a current balance of $8,226. Again, no expenditures planned within the next 5 years, but will need to, at some point, replace the audiovisual system in the chambers here. Then we have the communications center, aka dispatch, which has a current balance of $181,292.89. with a planned budgeted transfer in this year of $70,000. Oh, I'm sorry. Current balance of $111 will be $181 after this planned $70,000 transfer. The commission did discuss this on Thursday and thought about reducing next year's transfer from $70,000 to $35,000. The big looming expenditure in this pot of money is the replacement of the CAD RMS system, which is records management for dispatch and all the law enforcement agencies. Next, you have the county clerk with a current balance of $49,339.22. The county clerk doesn't especially need funding for a lot of their equipment because they have a separate technology fund that can pay for some things like their copiers. So their plan is to transfer this funding, $49,000 of it, to elections to help offset the cost of election equipment. The district court has a current balance of $22,555. Your commission agreed a year ago to transfer to the courts 1/2 of any bond forfeiture money that we receive. So we just have a estimated amount of $2,500 based on if we got $5,000 in bond forfeitures. Then we have the election pot of money. The big expenditure here, of course, is for replacement voting equipment. And we've talked about this several times. Clerk Election Officer Maskus brought it up in her budget presentation. There's currently only about $91,984 in that election amount, needing about $350,000. So transfer in $49,000 from the clerk's office. That leaves a balance of about $210,000 that will need to come from a pot of money that we'll discuss here in a second that's undesignated. Next, we have emergency management, current balance of $113,463.23. The big expense here is replacement of the emergency sirens, aka tornado warning sirens, in coordination with local cities and Fort Hays State University. That project will require about $170,000, so we will need to transfer in about $57,000. Then we have emergency medical services. They have a current balance of $707,478.67. They have a number of vehicle replacements coming up over the next 5 years, which will zero out their balance by the end of 2020, and they will need additional funding. The Environmental and Zoning Office currently has a balance of $31,404.23. Their big planned expenditure is replacement of a pickup truck in 2019. The fair has one of the smallest balances, $871.58. They typically do a lot of their equipment replacement on a as-needed basis out of operational funding, so they don't accumulate funding very fast there. The health department has current balance of $46,910.52. They have a few different replacements, furniture, equipment, and then eventually a vehicle replacement as well. Our IT department, current balance of $62,504.23. They have two big expenses related to a couple of projects that Director Leiker talked about in his budget presentation. One being a conversion of our current personal computer setup to virtual, what's called a thin client environment. That will require about $50,000, and then the other big one being replacement of the storage area network, and that being about $130,000 expense. I do have some good news on that one. Director Liker has been out turning over rocks to try and fund that storage area network, and has secured about $65,000 from other funding sources. So,
Well done.
then we do have what is listed on here as non-departmental. This is funding that your commission budgets to transfer in each year, as opposed to those savings transfers that departments get at the end of the year. You have so far transferred in about $350,000. $4,000 of that you designated for the courts. So a current balance of $346,000. We'll need, as I said, $210,000 for elections, $57,000 for emergency management, $25,000 for IT toward their project for the thin clients, and about $21,000 for the sheriff's office for some vehicle replacements. That will drive the balance down. Then there's also a budgeted transfer this year. The net of all that will drive the balance down to $274,000 going into next year, and then that IT amount will actually be reduced somewhat. But the big dog is replacement equipment for road and bridge that they do not have the ability to fund, and so that is one of the decisions that I'll going to ask your commission to make this evening, what we do about that. Then we have Register of Deeds. They began the year with a balance of $25,887.24. They're currently in the midst of a project for some tearing out of some equipment in their office. So anticipated end of year balance of $17,887. I will note last year you see, as well as a transfer in of their savings, also a transfer out. Register of Deeds Rebecca Herzog 2 years ago in the budget process agreed that she thought her Fund 16 was a little overfunded, and so she gave $20,000 of that back to the general fund last year. So there's certainly precedent for the idea of transferring some of this funding back, and as well as state law support for that. Then we have our Public Works. Well, 2 of the 4 divisions of Public Works, Road and Bridge and Noxious Weed, have a combined amount. They currently have a nice hefty balance of $585,355.80, but they have a lot of expenditures against that, including replacements of road graders, a couple of pickups. One didn't get ordered last year. A rebuild of the scraper, a dump truck. So with all of the expenses over the next 2 years, they need about $412,000 if they were to do all of those things. The sheriff's office has a current balance of $58,299.25. Their big expenses are replacement of patrol vehicles. Again, that will require some supplement. The treasurer's office currently has a balance of $136,336.96. They do not have any planned expenditures in the next 5 years, or at least have not identified any. They, like the clerk and the Register of Deeds, have some separate funding available for many of their needs. So might be possible to repurpose some of that funding. And then there are separate funds for our fire district and solid waste. Since they're not in the general fund, their funding doesn't go to Fund 16, but to other equivalent funds, and you can see those listed there. Any other questions I can answer about that? I know that was a lengthy explanation.
So Phil, can we start back with the first page? So out of your budget, out of the 27,000, can we have, how much of that could we borrow?
Well, and again, I would hesitate to call it my budget. Again, this is really the commission's discretion. Equipment replacement is as I said, a countywide function. So, but yes, out of the amount that the administration has transferred in over the years, I mean, again, if we either choose not to replace the current vehicle, or if we just extend the life of it, make it a 15-year replacement instead of a 10-year replacement cycle, I think we could easily capture $25,000 out of there. The question then would be, would we be capturing that for the purpose of transferring it back to the general fund, or would we capture it to maybe go towards public works and reduce the transfer in from the general fund? So,
Okay.
Which I think is the smartest thing to be doing at this point. So we're not stealing from Road and Bridge, and we're
Repurposing. Next to be the appraiser.
yes, and she's actually in the audience, so she could probably speak to her own plans. But
Would you like to come up, please? No, you can stay back there and wave to us. Okay. So is there any of your money that we could repurpose? That's a good word, Phil, thank you. Repurposing.
Well, for 19, we have listed aerial photography. I have visited with Amos in the GIS department, and he has talked with the city of Hayes, and there's good potential that they will be purchasing aerial photography next spring. So that money, if we could go in with them, we could do that savings, but I'd like to keep some of that money for aerial photography. We haven't purchased aerial photography since 2007.
yeah.
So it would benefit to keep that money for updated.
So that's 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we have listed is replace our tablets. We could probably extend that a year. We've had them, this is our third year. I was assuming maybe 3 years, but they've lasted us. They've been dropped or damaged, and we could extend that a year.
Knock on wood, would you please? Because the minute you say things like that, someone drops something. And, not that they meant to, but that's usually what happens.
So at the end of the day, just throwing a number out, how does 60,000, could we take 60,000 of that? Just for discussion purposes? Okay, maybe 50. I'm just one person asking. I don't have my fellow commissioners feel. I just figured I'd ask.
Well, I'm thinking it's got to be more than 25. You said we could possibly have the aerial photography amount, possibly, because that's 55,000. Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly?
From previous estimates we had with the city,
is 55.
Oh, that's already our half. I thought you said you could,
That would have been our portion.
Our portion.
Oh,
The, 60,000, that would be for oblique photography.
okay.
And what that is, they take 3D imaging, like a 45-degree angle,
Mhm.
it's all around, it's 360-degree of all the buildings in the city of Hayes and maybe Ellis. I will admit that's kind of this very beneficial to have that,
mhm.
but it just makes you want to admit that, but
I appreciate your honesty.
Yes.
Can you not get that from Google Earth to a certain
Google
extent?
Earth is
I know it's got its limitations.
limitations.
I understand it's not,
But especially on commercial buildings, this would be very beneficial. because
Yes.
360 view, get all around, like a hospital. All of it. With Google Earth, you just get whatever they can get from it.
Yeah.
And it is a lot, the oblique photography is a lot higher quality than or the FSA photography. It'd be really nice to have. Like to have it. Have to give it up, I won't cry.
so his first number that he threw out to you when you went to start to choke wasn't all that far off the
So let's say 50.
I don't know. She hasn't totally regained consciousness yet.
She's a little apoplectic over there. I can see that.
She's starting to
could
get her
put that
color
up.
back, so I'm feeling better. She's getting her color back.
Maybe should wait just a little.
Well, and
If
then,
we
you
could-
know, then there is also thing, if you take it away from us, where is it, where would you take, where would you put it? Would you put it in the general fund or give it to some, or the pool, keep it in the pool for?
Instead of
another fund?
taking transfers out of taking money from Road and Bridge, I think we are all in agreement that we want to
Yeah,
stop
we
doing
don't want to
that.
do that.
Because they've
We
been
do that every year.
scavenged for years, which I think is one of the best words I can come up with. And we just have to stop doing that.
And, I remember Phil saying at the end, like within 5 years, we still would have, even with spending all of this that we're anticipating, we would still have 56,000,
60.
60,000
60, yeah.
left over. So I would vote to give some of that to the group.
And that's what I think we're asking
Yeah,
for.
that's what we want.
And it's not just to pad something else, it's to keep from taking.
We're gonna repurpose it.
That's right,
Okay.
that's right. Okay, thank you, that's very nice, I
Yes.
appreciate that.
50,
Yeah.
okay.
And Bill appreciates that, as I can't see him because he's behind all the equipment over here, but I know he's grateful for that as well.
So what did we get out of the first one? What did we take out of the first one?
25
25.
out of,
Okay.
first one was 25.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Which one?
Administrator.
I call it Phil's budget, but it's
Phil's
not. The administration on the first page.
You're going to have this found in sometime. That's
Slowly but surely, drip by drip.
Okay, next large one, communication budget.
Yes, so you'll notice the communication budget is one that already goes negative over the.
In 2021.
So it,
Should we jump from the
I would
appraisers?
say that would, like Public Works, that might be one that you would look at putting money into rather than taking money out of. And as a reminder, you already reduced the planned transfer from the operating budget by 50% for next year. So
oh,
I did skip over a few of them, sorry, Phil,
Yes.
I was just kind of paging through the bigger ones. We're gonna go back to the front page.
Well,
Cover all
I
the
know
the attorney's office
is
has
holding
already.
their breath out there. They're like,
Well, they've already
skip us with whatever we're
repurposed once. I mean, so they've definitely played ball in the
Buildings and grounds,
past.
They have a $500,000 expenditure coming up in,
Yes, which again, yeah. And then there's your commission. I mean, you could certainly repurpose some of that, but it's not large dollar amounts.
Oh, it's not a large dollar amount.
dollars a dollar.
I think if we're asking other people to do it, we need to do the same.
Mm-hmm. I mean, out of ours, can we repurpose half of ours? Will that,
Right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the commission it has put in money the last couple of years out of savings, and so by the time that the AV equipment would need to be replaced, I would think you could probably take, say, 5,000 out of yours.
That's what I wrote
Okay,
down.
5.
that is good. Okay, next page.
And of course, the county clerk we're already repurposing.
Yeah, that one's down to pretty low.
To district court. Amanda's still here. She can, they do have a need.
Toes and fingers crossed, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, they do have a need to do a remodel.
Right.
So
About
We
that.
talked about that.
you might want to skip over that one. But
Okay,
That's just because you like her.
no, that's just because we were just in that room last Thursday.
No, I wasn't
and-
asking for an explanation. It was just an aside.
say she's likable.
Unfortunately, you all experienced that room. It was passed over for the alternates during the remodel that was not completed, and we did attempt to save last year to get that done for another time.
And then election, obviously there's a need there. Emergency management, I think we all appreciate tornado sirens, except when they go off at 1 a.m. But
Then even more.
yeah,
'Cause you're glad
EMS
someone's telling you there's a problem.
again. That's another one where they have to have those big white boxes to roam around. So. Environmental bill, I don't know if that's
That's not a,
the pickup replacement.
how old is that pickup?
Evening. Bill Ring, Public Works Director. I believe, and I can double check in the morning, that's probably just on a regular planned replacement, 10 years out or mileage out. I can check the condition if we could put that off the next year or the following year.
Okay.
What is that? But that isn't even, it's, for 2019, it's for 30.
Mhm.
You want to take all that out or not?
Hmm?
You want to take all that out or not?
Try half of that.
11. No.
Thank you, Mike. Any other questions on the pickup?
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't, sorry.
No, sorry, yeah.
And it would be similar to the following year, the forecast in 2020, that copier. That's just based on, it was written a few years ago, based on volume of copies. But I mean, if it is running and it's not like we have to buy one, it just, but you do, if, we try to plan for this, so
Right,
if it goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
True.
Okay.
Okay. Any adjustment to that one, ladies?
Or when you're not sure about that pickup, is that what you said you were going to go check on that pickup?
I'm pretty sure that we can postpone it for a year. And I don't get so many pickups, I don't. It's trying to remember which one.
One is
I
where?
mean, it's the gray one upstairs, but mileage condition.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say it's a high likelihood we can get another year out of it.
Okay.
So we can maybe
Well, so we had, that
put
was
half
for 19.
next year, and half this, I mean, you know,
So
half and half,
15.
maybe.
Yep, put 15 in.
And hope,
15.
and with a hope and a prayer.
Are you adding these up?
I'm just writing that to the sides.
That's about a,
Okay.
if I've written this down correctly,
We're just under,
it's like 110.
oh, I don't know, haven't even. 75.
I didn't add them up.
I'm at 95.
We had-
I missed one.
Yeah,
25,
I get
50,
95 also.
15.
Did you?
That's
I'm just wishful
135.
thinking. Did I just hit the plus button too many times
I
and
have
got an extra.
135 now.
Well, we'll just go back
15
and,
is 150.
Fair, there's not much to do there.
No.
well, because I had like, okay, wait a minute. The 25,000 from your the admin budget.
Yeah, so we had 50.
And then,
50.
where'd I put the 60? Wasn't that,
5 from
that
the
was from the
commission.
appraiser?
I thought we took 50.
Well, I wrote down this, that she said she'd give that up to
Six.
put back into road and
Okay.
bridge.
Okay, so we'll do 60.
Okay, so 60.
Okay, and then we did 5 out of our
5.
budget, right?
Right, and that's 95, and then
15.
10 is 105.
Where'd you get 95?
The 15 from zoning.
25,
25 and 60
60 and
is
then 5.
85, and 5 is 90.
right. Then I had, must
15
have had
is
another
105.
somewhere else, so it's
105.
105.
Okay.
Okay, we're down to health, Phil.
Yeah, I mean,
I just hit the plus
this,
button too many
they
times.
they do have some expenses, I know, this year related to their move. They are ordering some new things. They've had to replace their refrigeration units. So, you know, their out year expenses, we can have conversations with Carrie about whether any of those could get pushed out, but I know for this year they're definitely spending some this year.
So that's-
Okay. IT.
And then we get to IT, which again is another one that needs an infusion rather than a subtraction. I think the commission appreciated Mike's discussion of the storage networks, so
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Non-departmental.
yeah, well, that's where the balance is coming from. Register deeds, I mean, I have not spoken to Rebecca, but I'm fairly confident that she would.
She's always been,
Yes, based on her
Very
track record of
generous.
generosity, I'm sure she would be fine with you taking some amount out of there, but
Half. That'd be a little greedy.
look. think
I would
someone
think-
else agrees with you, that's,
I'm getting the look.
yeah, that's all right, that's okay.
so
This is just hand-to-hand combat right now. I'm just telling you. So this is not fun for anyone at this table. Just want to tell you,
so you're
like we're
thinking
8?
8,000 out of
About
there?
8. We won't do half. We'll be more generous. I'm getting better smiles from the group now.
That's from registered deeds. Okay.
That's like 13 or 14 red, I think.
And then you've got Road and Bridge and the Sheriff, which are both places that need money.
Treasure?
Treasure.
$130? Just a number to throw out.
Well, it's just been sitting there.
They don't have any planned expenses.
Okay, 136.
Come on.
Okay, I'll go
Maybe
the other
that-
way. 100?
Oh, at
Oh.
least, yeah.
At least, okay.
I don't have a problem with the 130. I mean, if we, at this
Yeah.
point,
130, everyone?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you got her made.
Oh, I don't know how much.
So we were
And solid waste, I know we left a lot in there for possibly future land purchase and repairs and different things.
Yeah. So, okay, so we were at 105 and
105 plus 8.
8, so that'd be 113 and 130. So 243. So that's certainly
It's 243.
that certainly obviates the need for the transfer out of Department 97 in the general fund for 2019, because that was only budgeted at 200. So you've come up with more than 200 there, so we can zero that out, and then that gets us down to an $85,000 issue in the general fund. And yeah.
and you talked about, did we already go into risk, did we already take that money out of risk management? Or
There is a transfer. So this spreadsheet that you have before you on the general fund, again, continues to assume no mill levy increase. You did upwardly adjust the transfer from oil and gas depletion at Thursday's hearing. It only assumes the the transfer from risk management for the amount of health insurance increase greater than 5%. I had suggested to the three of you that we could basically double that amount, and that would still leave over $300,000 in that fund for future use.
You're talking on the risk management fund?
Yes.
Now we have 419 in there, correct?
Yes, the current balance in that fund is $419,100.
Okay.
And so what are you saying that you feel comfortable with? That's not, I mean, we don't want to decimate.
No.
Correct. So the total amount of the increase in health insurance costs from 18 to 19 is $158,106. So if you were to take half of the increase, that would be 78,000 and change, which would basically double the amount that I have in there. It's an additional 39,102 on top of the 39,951.
And in your budget on Thursday, if I remember right, you did have the 30,000 built in there for drug court, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, in view of what
That's
the
10.
10 and 20, right?
10 this year and 20 next.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think what we could do, you'll recall that in the current fiscal year, in 2018, we had originally we were doing $47,500 to economic development. We had split that 23,775 to the coalition and 23,775 for a project fund. Earlier this year in May, you said, since we're not spending the money for the coalition, go work on the Northwest Business Corridor project. So that 23,775 is spoken for, but there's another 23,775 that's not spoken for. If we took 10,000 out of that to put toward drug court in the current year, and then could do 20,000 toward drug court next year, that would
Are they
That would be
save
all
us
I like
10,000.
that idea.
save us?
I think so.
All in favor? Yep. Okay. Perfect.
Since it works out better for them anyway.
Mm-hmm. They don't have to use their charge account that they don't have for a while. For 4 or 5 months, 6.
So I didn't get a conclusion on the risk management.
Yeah, so that's what I was.
I heard
trying to-
discussion, but
heard
not
discussion,
decision.
We never made any kind of decision. So are you saying that the comfortable number that you were talking about was the 39,000? Is that
No,
correct?
the comfortable number is 78,000.
That's what I wrote down.
And I'm just basing that. I mean,
Half
that
it.
would.
I do think we could half that.
Yeah.
I think, and if that,
Be 39.
Half it.
Half it.
Okay, so we're up to 78 then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then by my math, we're down to about a 37,000 and change problem.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
About 37.3, I think.
Okay, which one can we take?
So one of the other things is
More options.
we'd set aside some funding for architectural services to the
that's right.
county shop remodel. And I had just thrown out a number, and I think that number might be a little too high based on, I got very competitive bids on 601 and the health department on Canterbury. So maybe take, say, 10,000 off of that number.
Okay.
I mean, I know the commission is still very committed to making that project go forward.
Mhm.